Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome JobsOhio Board Chairman Josh Rubin.
Good morning, and welcome to the JobsOhio 2025 third quarter board meeting. It's great to be with you all today. Thanks for being here in one of my favorite places, the Great Lakes Science Center. Clearly, I'm not alone in that thinking. The Science Center has been named once again one of the top 10 science centers in the United States, according to USA Today's Reader's Choice Awards. It's also important to mention the great STEM school that is here, and we were just told we may be hearing some of the kids arriving here shortly. But what a great opportunity for these kids to be exposed to NASA, to our world-class health facilities, and so much more. Invaluable exposure they get. So congratulations to all of the people here at the Science Center who make it all work, and thank you for hosting us here today. The Science Center also happens to be the visitor center for NASA Glenn Research Center, and one of the reasons we wanted to come here today was to highlight the great work and importance of NASA Glenn and our other federal installations to both our state and our nation. NASA Glenn is involved in some of the most critical missions of NASA, including to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. Researchers right here at Glenn are leading the way on this fission surface power program. And another award to be excited about, NASA's Inventions and Contributions Board recently awarded the Commercial Invention of the Year Award to NASA Glenn's GRX 810, a 3D printable alloy designed for extreme environments. This alloy, I'm told, can endure temperatures over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit and can survive more than 1,000 times longer than existing alloys. Currently, NASA Glenn plays a critical part of NASA's overall mission, but it's also important to note the enormous impact from an economic perspective that it has on our entire state. Last summer, Cleveland State's Levin College of Public Affairs and Education released an economic impact study that showed Glenn contributed over $2 billion in economic impact and contributed nearly 9,000 jobs across the state. That was in 2023. At JobsOhio, we're doing everything we can to support NASA Glenn and all of our federal installations. And with our work with Joby and Anduril, GE, Sierra Nevada, and others, we're truly helping to build the future of aerospace. NASA Glenn and, of course, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base play a big part in that. And you're going to hear more about that today. Before we move on with the agenda, I also want to take a moment and recognize our newest board member, Lillian Curry. Welcome, Lillian. Those of you from Cleveland already know Lillian quite well as the head of the Cleveland Foundation. For those of you that don't know her, I will tell you how much I am looking forward to her being a part of this team. Lillian is, shut your ears for a minute. She's incredibly smart, creative, and has the ability to find solutions to very difficult problems. And although these are her first board meetings, she's already having a huge impact. So thank you for joining us, Lillian. With that, we will get on with our agenda. The first order of business is to approve our minutes from the May 21st meeting. Do any of our board members have any edits or additions to the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes from the May 21st meeting are approved. With that, I will turn it over to JP for the President's report. JP.
Thank you, Chair Rubin, and welcome, Director Curry, members of the board, esteemed colleagues, JobsOhio Network presidents here today. It's a pleasure to be here at the Lake Erie Great Lakes Science Center with CEO Dr. Kirsten Ellenbogen and her team. To our hosts, thank you for what you do every day to spark curiosity and to build Ohio's talent. From the families who explore these galleries to the students who literally go to school inside this museum. Thank you for opening your doors to JobsOhio this spring and again this week as we continue to advocate for the important work being done at NASA Glenn. We appreciate your partnership. Just last year, Sherwin-Williams CEO Heidi Petz and I were here to launch the exhibit celebrating Northeast Ohio's contributions to manufacturing technology. You remain champions for STEM every day and play a critical role in advancing the NASA mission by preparing the next generation of innovators right here in Ohio. And on behalf of the entire Jobs Ohio team, I want to thank everyone who has joined us here today and who are joining us virtually via live stream. Since 2019, Ohio has emerged as an economic leader. Today, Ohio is being recognized for what we have known, a world-class business environment. The only state to rank in the top 5 for total economic development projects per capita and total for 6 years in a row. We rank number 1 in Site Selection's Global Groundwork Index for infrastructure development and fixed capital investments and job creation for 3 consecutive years, up from number 5 in 2020. We're the number 2 state in America for mega project wins, 3 consecutive years, up from number 8 in 2019. Most recently, Ohio rated number 5 in the U.S. and number 1 in the Midwest in CNBC's Top States for Business, up from number 15 in 2018 and number 34 before Jobs Ohio was created. And Jobs Ohio is ranked as a world-class organization for customer service 5 years in a row, as validated by Net Promoter by our client companies. And we're seeing the first positive population in migration since the 1980s. We'll continue to build on these positive results and believe we will climb even higher, specifically in Northeast Ohio. We've often said that the trend of reshoring and onshoring industry and supply chains that began during the pandemic is a generational opportunity. Actually, it's proven to be a historic opportunity.
We've had huge victories. We have brought companies into the state of Ohio.
This probably is not a greater moment in our state than we've had in hundreds of years.
Ask the other states. Everybody is envious. If we want to continue to win, we have to have Jobs Ohio in the game.
Ohio has emerged as a national economic development leader.
Jobs Ohio.
Jobs Ohio.
Jobs Ohio.
Jobs Ohio.
Jobs Ohio.
Really engage well with Jobs Ohio. All the stars align to make Ohio a great place for us to do it and to do it fast.
We're going to build on success here because there is a lot of momentum happening in Ohio.
People in Ohio have been absolutely spectacular to work with.
Ohio community's been incredible in reducing friction, accelerating the path to bring projects online.
This is an incredible time for Ohio.
Just this year, we've seen Amgem commit to doubling its presence in Ohio, and Great Day Improvements is adding nearly 1,000 new jobs across communities from Walnut Hills, Bedford, and Twinsburg in the Northeast to Sharonville in the Southwest. Through Jobs Ohio 2.0, we've deliberately invested in the backbone of Ohio's economy, small businesses and communities. Small businesses are job-creating engines for Ohio, and since 2020, Jobs Ohio has invested in more than 600 small business projects, leading to over $220 million in capital investments in those businesses and 2,800 new jobs in every corner of our state. In Northeast Ohio alone, JobsOhio and Team NEO have invested in small businesses across 189 projects, creating nearly 1,000 jobs and $47 million of new payroll. The hard work of Team NEO is breaking records. In 2024, the team at Team NEO completed 125 projects, the most project wins in a single year for any region since the creation of JobsOhio. And through the Vibrant Communities program, we've invested in 9 Northeast Ohio towns, places like Elyria, Sandusky, and Painesville. Those investments have already drawn more than $45 million in outside capital, helping Ohio's historic hallmark towns to revitalize and strengthen their ability to compete, and they serve as a wonderful location in the competition for talent. Taken together, these results illustrate our strategy at scale. Mega projects grab the headlines, but the expanded toolkit ensures that growth reached small businesses, downtowns, and communities all across the state. That's what will make Ohio's economic comeback durable for all Ohioans. As reported in our last public board meeting, we've just launched our newest 5-year plan, JobsOhio 2030. The plan's the result of more than 6 months of stakeholder and market assessment and analysis and meticulous planning by our team and partners and our board. Our mission is to consistently rank #1 in the Midwest and to be at least in the top 5 states nationally every year. To reach the goal, JobsOhio 2030 will focus on 6 strategic areas to help further capture on the successes of the past and prepare us for the trillion-dollar opportunities ahead. #1, make Ohio the nation's semiconductor and supply chain powerhouse. #2, harness AI across Ohio's diverse industry base for measurable impact and innovation. #3, strengthen and expand our talent pipeline, delivering the Ohio expertise that employers need now and into the future. 3 weeks ago, we launched the JobsOhio relocation incentives to companies across Ohio, and we already have 58 applications to help get new Ohioans into our state and into the workforce. Unite our Ohio innovation districts and network of research and development hubs across the state under the Ohio Discovery Corridor to amplify research, startups, venture capital, and federal funding. Leverage Ohio's abundant energy resources to fuel this growth. And finally, to build Ohio's brand. One of the strategic pillars in our JobsOhio 2030 strategy is to amplify Ohio's competitive advantages and accelerate the growth of what we call super sectors. Super sectors are cross-cutting trillion-dollar industries that converge with complementary technologies, markets, workforce, supply chains, and even customers, creating a hyper-growth ecosystem in our state. Ohio has many of the ingredients to fuel this flywheel effect across 5 super sectors: semiconductors and microelectronics, advanced aerospace and defense, which you'll hear about today, life sciences and biotech, artificial intelligence, and Ohio energy leadership. When we talk about advanced aerospace and defense as a super sector, we're really talking about one of the largest economic engines in the world, a market worth more than $3 trillion in global impact, and Ohio is competing at the very top of it. Already, our economic impact has quintupled from 2 decades ago, and employment has tripled. We're building on a strategy taken on 2 decades ago when then Governor Mike DeWine was Senator Mike DeWine, and now Senator John Husted was then Ohio House Speaker John Husted, and JobsOhio President J.P. Nassif was the Dayton Development Coalition President J.P. Nassif. When faced with a decline, which was what the community faced with the base realignment and closure, you can cut and run, or you can roll up your sleeves and get to work. And Ohio rolled up its sleeves and has since doubled the inside the fence unemployment at Right Pat from 19,000 to 38,000 full-time equivalent employees. And the annual economic impact outside the fence, those industry partnerships, have skyrocketed from $4 billion to $19 billion during the same period. Ohio's BRAC-era wins created a federal mission-to-industry model, and we're taking that model statewide. This approach has been wildly successful, and we believe it will be wildly successful in Northeast Ohio and at every other military installation and community across our state. Global leaders like Intel, Sierra Nevada, Joby, and Anduril come here to be near their customer and their supply chain and benefit from Ohio's workforce and quality of life. Industry partners will do the same here in Northeast Ohio around NASA. When you combine that with Ohio's talent pipeline and prepared sites, the growth opportunity in front of us is enormous. JobsOhio added the military and federal as a target sector in our 2020 JobsOhio 2.0 plan. So why do we do that? Frankly, it's good for America. The federal footprint, Ohio has directly strengthened national security and secures critical supply chains. Second, it's part of our DNA as Ohioans. These installations knit our communities together and anchor thousands of quality careers. Third, we already proved it to be a winning strategy for both military and commercial investment. Leading our advanced aerospace and defense supersector is Kevin Chambers, a 20-year veteran of the United States Air Force and a former partner at Deloitte. He joins us to go deeper on why we're doing this and how we're going to leverage our unique strengths to capture this massive opportunity and its tie to Northeast Ohio and NASA. Kevin?
Thank you, JP. Thank you, Chairman Rubin, board members. It's great to come back to Northeast Ohio. As a teenager, my first job was about 200 or 300 feet in that direction at the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. This map that you see on screen, this is the backbone of our military and federal sector. It's the backbone of what Ohio does for the military and federal communities. We see a significant military and federal presence throughout the state, and Ohio is home to NASA Glenn Research Center and the associated Armstrong Test Facility here in the Northeast, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the largest single-site employer in the state of Ohio, in the west side of the state, and so many federal and military installations that you see on screen here. These many sites provide a foundation for a dense supplier network that further ties the missions to the industry. The impact of this sector is central to our state economy. Military and federal activity supports an estimated 418,000 jobs statewide and represents roughly $55 billion in total economic output. That's roughly 7.5% of Ohio's economy. Veterans coming out of these missions and currently living in Ohio are highly sought after by employers, which helps us retain talent and expand missions at the same time. Ohio's aerospace and defense footprint is both broad and economically central, and is directly connected to an advanced manufacturing base that can scale from prototype to production for defense and commercial customers alike. This same lab to fab to mission and market model is what took the Apollo mission to space and laid the foundation for Silicon Valley. Now we are doing it again in an Ohio supersector that is already leading in next-generation defense microelectronics, advanced air mobility, autonomous drones, hypersonics, and much, much more. We are the #1 supplier to Airbus and Boeing, home to more than 600 aerospace facilities, and we rank among the nation's leaders in aerospace and aerospace talent with the 3rd largest manufacturing workforce in the United States. That's why our pipeline today includes more than a dozen major projects with nearly $500 million already flowing into advanced air mobility and autonomous drones from companies like Joby and Anduril. What makes this supersector so powerful is the 4 focused areas it encompasses: military and federal, space, advanced air mobility, and commercial aerospace. Each is strong on its own, but when you put them together in Ohio, the impact multiplies. Ohio is the only place where defense readiness, aerospace manufacturing expertise, and next-generation flight sit shoulder to shoulder. That's the story of the advanced aerospace and defense supersector, and over the next few minutes, we'll go deeper into each focus area to show you how Ohio is positioned to lead. I mentioned Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. In addition to AFMC, the Air Force Research Lab, NASIC, Space Force units, and a deep bench of defense contractors, these units support tens of thousands of jobs and anchor Ohio's role in national security. We work every day to strengthen the communities around these bases and support the families of those who are deployed. We want Ohio to be known as the most military and veteran-friendly state in the country. We are building on this strength to create new opportunities for industry. Companies like Anduril, Sierra Nevada, and GE Aerospace are building here because proximity matters. We know firsthand that being close to your customer, your suppliers, and the R&D ecosystem makes you faster and more competitive. We don't just say that in Ohio. We take that story on the road to world events like the Air and Space Forces Association conferences, the Space Symposium, international air shows, as well as advocacy trips to Washington, D.C., and through partnerships with the Association of Defense Communities and the Association of the United States Army. When we talk about space, Ohio is already home to some of the nation's most critical assets, and our focus here is on supporting and strengthening them for the future. The NASA Glenn Research Center is one of the anchors of America's space program. From the propulsion systems that powered the Apollo missions to the technologies that will take us back to the moon and to Mars, we support Glenn through retention and expansion and making sure that the thousands of engineers, scientists, and contractors who work there can continue to lead NASA's most ambitious missions. Just outside Sandusky, the Armstrong Test Facility gives NASA capabilities that exist nowhere else. We are growing and enhancing these capabilities so that they continue to serve as a global proving ground for spacecraft and aerospace innovation. Alongside NASA, we are home to the U.S. Space Force's 76th Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Squadron, the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, and the National Space Intelligence Center. These units make Ohio a hub for Space Force intelligence and tie directly into the state's historic leadership in aerospace and defense. NASA Glenn, Armstrong, Wright-Patterson, the Space Force, and our network of aerospace suppliers provide an ecosystem where research, testing, and manufacturing are tightly linked. Advanced air mobility is a huge competitive advantage. Simply put, if you want to build it, test it, and fly it, Ohio is the place to do it. The global advanced air mobility activity is projected to create $1.9 trillion in economic impact by 2045. And we're looking to land at least $13 billion of that here in Ohio, which should generate 15,000 direct jobs. We are already home to ecosystem leaders such as Joby, Anduril, and Sierra Nevada, and federal government partners NASA Glenn, the Air Force Research Lab, and the National Advanced Air Mobility Center of Excellence in Springfield. The biggest players need to be here to be relevant, and they are coming. GE Aerospace has a huge presence in Ohio. We're in active discussions with roughly 25 additional companies that see Ohio as the only place where runways, airspace, and production are immediately accessible. In fact, Ohio ranks 5th among the top states producing engineering grads, with over 74 higher education institutions offering programs and training in the aerospace sector occupations. As our ecosystem is enriched and energized, aerospace and defense innovators are coming to understand that they can develop and deliver new systems to the warfighter and to the commercial markets quicker and cheaper when they do it in Ohio. The true builders of the future are flying in, not over, Ohio. Commercial aerospace is one focus area where Ohio is already the proven workhorse. We're the top U.S. supplier state to Airbus and Boeing, with more than 600 aerospace firms anchored by GE Aerospace and other prime suppliers. So when OEMs ask, who can actually build at this rate, Ohio raises its hand with receipts. Our approach here is threefold. First, keep growing the manufacturing base and attract additional OEM production. Second, convert our big wins into steady in-state demand by plugging Ohio's current suppliers into those on-ramps. Third, expand the MRO capacity at key airports, including Cleveland Hopkins, Dayton, Wilmington, and Columbus. Sierra Nevada's new AITC facility in Dayton is the first large-scale aircraft MRO in the region since World War II. It proves we can land complex work. The market is already buying from Ohio, and what we keep telling these companies that build aircraft or keep them flying is build more of it here. The Paris Air Show this summer gave us the opportunity to flex Ohio's aerospace and defense strength on a global stage. At the world's largest aerospace gathering, with virtually every major OEM represented, we made sure that Ohio was at the center of the conversation. We hosted standing room only panels where Sierra Nevada walked through how they can pivot between defense and commercial work right here in Ohio, and where Joby and others explained why they see our state as a launch pad for advanced air mobility. JP and the CEOs of Joby, Beta, Wisk, and Archer were invited to join Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy to discuss and announce new international standards for certification of this exciting new industry. We left Paris with new leads, stronger partnerships, and a louder voice in this global industry. Because when we tell the story that Ohio is the only place where you can dream it, build it, test it, and deploy it, we tell it with one voice, and the entire aerospace community listens. One of our greatest strengths is the insight and guidance we get from our military and federal advisors. These 5 leaders you see here have dedicated their lives, these 6 leaders you see here have dedicated their lives to serve our military and our nation. General Buzz Mosley is a fighter pilot and the former Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force. Lester Lyles is a retired 4-star general as well, who commanded the Air Force Materiel Command and chaired the NASA Advisory Council. Lieutenant General Thomas Owen has an extensive background in military logistics and served as the commander of the Aeronautics Systems Center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. General John J.T. Thompson is the former commander of both the U.S. Air Force's Life Cycle Management Center and the U.S. Space Force's Space and Missile Systems Center. Jim Free was director of the Glenn Research Center here in Cleveland and rose to the position of NASA Associate Administrator before retiring early this year. And Colonel Joe Zeese, following a distinguished 26-year career in the Air Force, has served for the last few years as the Senior Advisor for Aerospace and Defense to Governor DeWine, a position that was created by Governor DeWine to support not only the DeWine administration, but Team Ohio, and he's a key advisor for us here at JobsOhio. These extraordinary individuals now lend their credibility as advisors to our state. General Mosley has been with us for 18 years, General Lyles for 23, General Owen for 14, General Thompson 4, and Jim Free is in his 4th year advising us. With their help, we continue to make Ohio the most military and veteran-friendly state in the nation, and we will continue to make Ohio the ideal home for military and federal commands, units, and facilities. JobsOhio's aerospace and defense team is composed of veterans of both military service, government service, and private industry. We speak the language of the C-suite executives, the military officers, defense contractors, federal policymakers, and government procurement officers. And that makes us multilingual. Micah Newberg has a distinguished career both in economic development, but also in research and strategy in the private aerospace industry. Michael Dussman comes to us after decades of support of Ohio senators on the Hill, and he understands that world better than anyone I've ever known. And Ryan Blackburn, a veteran like me, has supported veterans throughout the state of Ohio as the Department of Veterans Affairs before coming to serve us at JobsOhio and support our network partners. Let's take a deeper look, if we can, at the Glenn Research Center and the Armstrong Test Facility. Together, they support 8,000 jobs and generate nearly $2 billion in impact every year. That includes about 1,500 NASA employees, mostly scientists and engineers, plus nearly as many contractors, all working across 190 specialized labs and facilities in Cleveland and Sandusky. Glenn's unique test assets from the Space Environments Complex and in-space propulsion and vacuum facilities to hypersonics let industry shake, bake, freeze, and fly on the ground. And because Glenn has a long history of working closely with the Air Force and Space Force, what happens here feeds both national defense and commercial flight. Given that strength, Team Ohio is out in the field with a single objective of capturing mission expansions for the state of Ohio. Every week, we are coordinating touch points with NASA headquarters, taking regular hill walks with our federal delegations, and tightening alignment with our Northeast Ohio partners. JobsOhio also organized and circulated an industry letter shared with over 24 organizations. And we've built a broad bipartisan coalition calling on Congress and the White House to reverse course on proposed cuts to NASA and NASA Glenn Research Center. We are pushing to protect the missions we have, grow the missions we are ready to take on, and keep the work and the jobs here in Ohio.
At one time, Ohio had the most number of astronauts. That exploration that goes back to the Wright brothers, that spirit in Ohio that has inspired people to do great things, from serving our country like John Glenn, like Neil Armstrong, like Sonny Williams, and that spirit of innovation and pushing boundaries is in Ohio. NASA Glenn has that history for the technologies that we need for the future. The John Glenn Research Center has been at the forefront of space and aeronautics, this interesting boundary of research and actual flight today, both in the air and space, supporting programs that are happening today at the International Space Station, all the way through the future exploration, pushing the boundaries of the solar system with technologies like electric propulsion for space. It's all those things you need to go back to the moon and onto Mars. To have NASA Glenn right here in Ohio and connect really across the state, when you look at how NASA Glenn connects down to Dayton with the Air Force Research Lab and into Cincinnati with the University of Cincinnati and some of the human health performance things, coming up through Columbus and the tremendous scientific advances that are happening at Ohio State, it's the people. It's those people that think of the innovative ideas, right? We can't just stay stagnant. We need those continued ideas. NASA needs that, and NASA Glenn is one part of the overall agency. There's only 9 NASA centers, so having that anchor of technology development that the community can use, that's enabled by organizations like JobsOhio, with programs that are developed to pull that technology out, encourage businesses to come to use that technology. That's invaluable.
Kevin, thank you for that report on the advanced aerospace and defense supersector and deep dive into NASA. We appreciate you and what your team are doing for this sector, for the federal installations, and for our veterans and military families. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, JP. Thanks, Kevin. Very, very, very important work, obviously, and a lot of great work by a great many people, and some of you are here today. Thanks for all your efforts. We are going to now move on to our committee reports, and we're going to start with the Compensation and Workforce Committee report. Rick.
Chair Rubin, our committee met once this quarter when we conducted our annual review of the committee's charter and the checklist of decisions and topics for the remainder of the quarter. No changes were brought forward to the board. Most of the meeting was to discuss and improve the compensation philosophies for the corporation's executives that will guide future decisions on comp for not just our executive team, but also the entire organization. That's my report.
Thank you, Rick. Any of our board members have any questions for Rick? No? Okay. We had a very busy last couple of months, actually, with our investment committee. John Bishop, who's joining us online, is the chair of that committee. John, you want to give us your report? Hold on, John. We're having trouble hearing you.
Could this be on our end, David? Okay. You might be muted. You might be muted, John. It's possible.
Muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, my regrets for not being there in person. I don't miss many meetings, but unfortunate circumstances are such that I can't be there. Prior to yesterday, I'm getting a reverb too. You have it. Prior to yesterday, the committee met once this quarter on August 8th and started the meeting by reviewing and approving the minutes of the previous April 30 meeting. Next, the committee recommended yesterday's meeting, the committee recommended 2 items for approval by the full board. 2 very significant items. One was the funding through the Talent Acquisition Services Program for a biomanufacturing center for excellence, which is been a real growth area, as well as the guidelines for the corporation's new economic development program, the Advanced Aerospace Defense Opportunity, which you've already heard about. Most importantly, both of these should allow us to excel well into our next business plan, 2030. The committee then approved 2 projects within our scope of approval authority. One project utilized a total of $4 million of private grant and loan initiatives under JobsOhio Site Inventory Program, which is an entirely different and a unique program. In exchange for more than $46 million in capital improvements in Ohio, the developers' agreement to market the improved property to companies within JobsOhio's 10 targeted industry sectors. It should be a very successful opportunity to grow in an area that we focused on. The second project was an extension of the current air service restoration grant for specific air service between Cincinnati International Airport and London Heathrow. The committee also discussed potential new projects and financing opportunities for the corporation, including financial support for efforts of the corporation's energy super sector. Finally, the committee received the quarterly reports from the corporation's investment outside portfolio advisors. This ends my investment committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any questions, comments for John? Hearing none. Thanks, John. We look forward to having you back in person soon.
Sure.
We'll now move to Lori Gillette, the chair of our audit committee, for her report. Lori?
The audit committee met 3 times since the last board meeting. At each meeting, we reviewed the minutes from the previous meetings and approved them as presented. We ended each of those meetings with an executive session with only board members present. During the July 16th meeting, the committee conducted an entrance conference with representatives of Deloitte. They're our independent public accountants for JobsOhio. During the meeting, Deloitte presented the audit plan for fiscal year 2025, which ended June 30th, 2025. Following the presentation and discussion, the committee approved the fiscal year 2025 audit plan as presented, and the outside accountants were excused from the meeting. Management next provided detailed financial information for both the previous quarter and year to date, as well as detailed budget to actual reviews of expenditures and revenues for the same periods. In addition, Claudia Harrington, the Senior Managing Director for Enterprise Risk and Compliance, provided an update on cyber protection for the directors and the executives through the LifeLock system, and noted that the protection has been renewed for another year. The committee discussed the performance of Deloitte and its potential retention or replacement as independent certified public accountants for the current fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. After much discussion, management was asked to obtain competitive bids from various independent certified public accounting firms, including both Big Four firms as well as some smaller regional firms. The scope of the proposed work is, as in prior years, to conduct quarterly financial reviews, the annual financial audit, and the annual compliance and control review for the corporation. At the committee's meeting on August 8th, we met primarily to approve the previous meeting minutes and to discuss the proposals that were received from the outside accountants in response to management's request for proposals. CFO Andrew Dye reported that of the 8 firms that we solicited, 4 firms responded with a proposal, including Deloitte, while 2 of the Big 4 firms specifically declined to participate. Each proposal was reviewed and discussed at length, and management was asked to reach out to 2 of the firms for more information. The committee at its meeting yesterday concluded their discussions for the outside audit firm for fiscal year 2026, contingent on the auditor of state agreeance and also contract and term negotiations. Before adjourning, CFO Dye advised that Deloitte plans to be ready to issue their annual audit reports for the corporation's fiscal year 2025 by Friday, September 26, 2025. And lastly, the committee and the full board received our annual ethics training yesterday that was led by Ms. Harrington after the board meeting yesterday. So with that summary, Chairman Rubin, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Lori. Any comments or questions for Lori? Okay, good work. Thank you. Any old or new business that anyone on the board wants to discuss? No? Hearing none, we will then move on to our closing remarks, and we'll start with our friends that are joining us online. Tom Williams, you're first on my screen, so I'm going to ask you to go first. Any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Sure. I think we should just highlight, what JP touched on today, and that is Ohio's rise in the rankings over the last decade. Before JobsOhio was created, CNBC's top states for business ranked Ohio 34. In 2022, Ohio was ranked 15. And this year, Ohio ranks number 5 in the country and number 1 in the Midwest. And that is an amazing leap of progress. So concerted efforts by Team Ohio, the legislature, and the DeWine Husted Trestle administration to focus on forward-looking strategies to invest in infrastructure and workforce development add to Ohio's number 2 ranking now for cost of doing business. This is amazing progress. What the team deserves great credit for this.
Thank you, Tom. Well said. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to offer any closing remarks?
Chairman, thank you for a good week, and thank you, JP. This week, including what Kevin Chambers just had talked about, we heard a lot about the successes of the Paris Air Show, our talent attraction campaign that's really targeted to out-of-state talent. And you couple this with the relocation incentives that folks heard about and rolled out last quarter. What a powerful combination, particularly for those small and medium-sized businesses that can now look outside their geographies and go get the talent they need to go to the next level. All of these activations and activities are great examples of how JobsOhio is striving to keep Ohio out in front of other states. And in particular, what we heard about earlier, our focus on aerospace and defense, what a huge opportunity for the world to learn about Ohio and what Ohio is doing to continue to make its mark on not only our military missions, but the path to space, the future of commercial aerospace and air mobility. For folks that are old enough in the audience that remember the Jetsons, that time has come. We're there, and we're doing it here in Ohio. So thanks to the entire team at JobsOhio for all of the content and the great meetings this week, and certainly enjoy this Labor Day weekend. It's well deserved.
Thanks, Scott. John Bishop, any closing remarks?
You may be muted again, John.
Glad I kicked it off. I'll try not to be redundant because there's been so much quality information presented today, but I'd be reluctant or remiss if I didn't congratulate the Team NEO folk. Team NEO has been a critical part of the success of JobsOhio and all the success that you've seen. In 2024, they had a record number of new deals, and I was impressed. One of our stats people told me that since 2015, which is really when JobsOhio really took off after the formation of it. In the last 10 years, we've created 46,000 new jobs. in the Team Neo area, which that's exactly what Jobs Ohio was created to do, and the cooperation with the local regional folks has just been outstanding. And I think with a number of the plans that you've heard that we're announcing and preparing for 2030, the opportunities for Northeast Ohio should be equally significant. We're really excited about the opportunities that we have up here. That's all the remarks I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, John. Rick?
Chair Rubin, it's been great to be in Cleveland. Cleveland's not just a great Ohio city, it's really a great American city and a great global city. And of all the things that could stand out about Cleveland, it's that embracing of our ethnic heritage and the heritage of Cleveland that stands out all the time in the 50 years I've been coming here. I lived that. My great-great-grandmother and my great-grandfather came to Cleveland from Germany in 1884. My great-great-grandmother's buried at Calvary Cemetery. I was able to visit her while we were here. On the other side of my family, my grandfather's first job after he graduated from Ohio State was as an optometrist at the Cleveland Arcade. My dad worked in a building across the street from the Sailor and Soldiers Monument in downtown. So it's in my blood, and I grew up in Northeast Ohio, still consider it my hometown. And Northeast Ohio is when we talk about these rankings today, Northeast Ohio is a big part of why we've been #1 in Site Selection's global groundwork. And that's really behind why CNBC is right to jump us up to #1. And it's really a testament to everything that we've done at JobsOhio, at Team Neo, at our network partners, and at the local government level to make it simplify success, make it easier for companies to move to Ohio, and just like my ancestors did, and find this as a place to set up shop. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Rick. But last night we walked by it. My grandfather and my father had a store on the corner of East 9th and Short Vincent, and walking by there last night, she brought some great memories back. So, Lori?
Thank you. You know, I want to point out there's a recent Business First story that Carrie Gose wrote that was really an excellent look at how JobsOhio dollars have been dispersed through every single corner of the state of Ohio. It was a deep dive on how the small business grants and the vibrant community grants that we put together are enabling those entities to do things that they couldn't previously, and enables them to move quickly with less friction. It's exactly why JobsOhio was built. I think it's also important to note that the reporter was able to source this story with data that we make available on our website each month since 2015. That's precisely the type of transparency that we aim to provide at JobsOhio, and it's the reason why we've held a platinum transparency ranking with Candid for 7 consecutive years. This puts us in the top 1% of all nonprofits nationwide for transparency. I just want to say thank you to the team, because this is best-in-class transparency, and it takes a lot of work to achieve that. And so I just want to recognize that and say thank you. And I would be remiss, I also want to say thank you to Kenny McDonald for the 15 years of service at One Columbus. It's truly been a privilege to serve by your side. And that's all I have.
Let's give Kenny a round of applause there. Dr. Thornton?
Thank you, sir. I too would like to say thank you to the Great Lakes Science Center for hosting us. Kirsten is a fellow educator with me, and someone who is a great leader in youth education and preparing our youth for the next step. I'd also just like to acknowledge that our regional network partners are always here. It's great to look out and see you here and know that you work with our staff every day in making JobsOhio a great place, and we appreciate it. If I looked out in the audience and didn't see you, I'd be lonely, so I'm glad that you're here. And with that, I'd also like to acknowledge the CEO who's been referenced a lot. Team Neo, Matt Dolan, we're always glad to have you with us. Welcome aboard. It's good to see you here as well. I would also just like to point out something that JP said that I think is so important, and that's the in-migration of recruiting people to Ohio. And Christy Klaus and her team and talent reach out every day and work with companies in bringing people to Ohio. And while we create jobs for Ohioans, we also want people to become new Ohioans. And that particular program has been rolled out, JobsOhio Relocation Incentive Program. And a lot of our companies have really embraced that. In fact, we have 40 applicants for that particular program. So we are really reaching out to bringing in more people to become Ohio citizens and thereby using their talent in our companies. And as JP mentioned, I think that is extremely important for us to continue bringing these new incentives forward so that we can add jobs and add people to Ohio. And with that, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry Sue. Lillian.
Thank you. I would like to open by first really thanking you, Chairman Ruman, CEO Nassif, the board, this esteemed board, and the staff for the incredibly warm welcome, the exceptional onboarding that I've had. I have quickly learned what a world-class organization this is, one of the most effective I have seen, and just an impressive model. I am so honored to serve and grateful to be here, and I just really want to thank you. It's been tremendous few days, and I am here willing to serve and happy to host you here in Cleveland, and want to also send my thanks to the Science Center and to CEO Dr. Ellen Bogan for hosting here today. And I also want to thank the leadership here. I have joined the audit committee. I want to thank Lori for welcoming me there. I have seen firsthand how seriously this organization takes this, and agree with you. We really spent tremendous amount of time going through a kind of training yesterday in ethics, and for me, this is just kind of most important work. And so happy to serve. And lastly, I just want to close by saying really that from my perspective, serving here is one of the most important things this organization, the work that you are doing is making such a difference. The impact is extraordinary. And so thank you.
Thanks, Lillian, and we're honored that you have joined us. JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been really a great few days here in Cleveland. And we've got a great cross-section of Team Ohio with us. We've got JobsOhio's leadership team here. We've got every one of our network partners here with us today. And we've got other partners that we work with very closely. We saw 2 wins by the Guardians. And Matt, thank you, Matt Dolan, for hosting us on a Tuesday evening reception. A wonderful game, but even the fellowship was even better. We referenced the granddad of the network partners will be moving on. And Kenny, we've appreciated your partnership. Many ways you paved the way and showed us the way. Columbus clearly has been a leader, and we're proud to see the rest of the state making tremendous gains, and we know you're going to be staying in Ohio. And to Mr. McAllister, we welcome you as the interim, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with you. So Ohio's always been a place that values service and those that serve. And when called, Ohioans step up to defend our country. They step up to dream and create and make the inventions that broaden our horizons. And that's not just our history. It's who we are today, and it is absolutely what's going to build our future. Today, we're in Northeast Ohio to shine the light on the outstanding public servants, scientists, inventors, and industry partners in and around Northeast Ohio and NASA Glenn. They not only deliver important capabilities for our nation, but they make a massive impact on Ohio's economy, and in particular the economy here in Northeast Ohio. The support from this community for NASA Glenn's missions has been extraordinary. Truly a team effort. Our governor, the Aerospace and Defense Advisor, Joe Zeese, our congressional delegation, Max Miller, Bernie Marino, John Husted, and championed locally by Matt Dolan and Team NEO, with support from partners at GCP like Beju Shaw and many others. So for those who claim that home rule jurisdictions in Northeast Ohio don't always work so well together, well, when it comes to NASA Glenn, they do. Over 200 independent jurisdictions signed on to support these efforts. That's a big deal in any part of the state or country. And I think it's a signal, and it should be a source of optimism for everyone in Northeast Ohio, that the land is on the front end of something very, very special, and we're happy to partner with you and to be part of it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, JP. So in closing, it was probably just over 30 years ago when I, as a very young staffer in the United States Senate, learned very quickly how all the other NASA centers like to take work that we do at NASA Glenn. There was a budget resolution amendment that was offered that was going to gut, I don't remember how many millions of dollars from, at that time it was NASA Lewis's aeronautics budget. And we quickly went to work. We fixed that issue. And over the past 3 decades, I have watched time and time again just how much people value the work that gets done at NASA Glenn, and they want it for themselves. And what we have seen over that time is when we all work together, when all of the pieces and parts here work together, we win. And we always win when we do that. And we need to continue to do that. We need to continue in all of these efforts because it's so vitally important, not just to what NASA's doing, not just about what's going on here in Ohio, but it's important to our country. It's important to national security. It's important to looking at the moon and Mars and beyond and all the things that we care about. So I would just urge all of you, call Matt Dolan, call Beju Shaw. Beju and the GCP are very involved, Greater Cleveland Partnership are very involved in this. Call JP, call me, call any of us, and anybody that's listening, get involved. This is a critical effort that is underway. It's a critical fight that we're engaging in. And Kevin, thanks for doing a great job highlighting all this today. And we look forward to everybody's participation, because if we all don't participate, we will not be successful. With that, we will, unless there's any other comments or feedback from our board. Again, thank you to the Science Center for hosting us here today. Thanks for all the staff and Alyssa and everybody that made all this work. And we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you very much.